Reince Priebus, who is praising President Trump's decision to let him go, I think. Karen Travers, ABC News White House correspondent. Not very many weeks like that, Karen Travers.
No, I mean, yeah, it was quite a week when you looked at just the number of rebukes that the president got from Capitol Hill with healthcare, with this Russian sanctions bill that they passed despite the White House's objections and pushback, the Boy Scouts stepping away from the president's speech, police officers after that speech on Friday. I mean, there was just this incredible across the board, the military with the transgender service member policy, really remarkable of what, by the end of the week, the president did not get accomplished.
So looking at this from the higher up, the traditional Republicans have fallen by the wayside. The Sean Spicers of the world, the Reince Priebuses of the world. And there's talk that Donald Trump is going to sort of pivot away from the traditional Republican sort of ideas and into some nebulous Donald Trump world. What are you hearing on that side?
I mean, if you thought he wasn't in some Donald Trump world for the last 6 months, I mean, it's not exactly like Reince Priebus was driving the president's agenda or, you know, the driving the way things, business was done here at the White House. I think that's the big question for John Kelly is what can he do to rein in the chaos? You know, he doesn't come in with political experience, but he comes in with military experience and military command, a retired four-star general. Can he be the person that, you know, brings some semblance of order to a West Wing that has been extremely chaotic? And some of that, outsiders would say, this is supporters, that's been to the president's detriment, that all of the infighting and the backstabbing have made it hard to get anything done. And there has to be a better chain of authority. You can't just walk into the White House. You can't just grab the president's time. There has to be a structure, and maybe that will allow things to make some progress.
Karen Travers, I read this a number of different times, and I'm going to ask you this. Is it true, or the rumors, or what are you hearing, that Donald Trump wasn't upset with Scaramucci for the language or the colorful nature of his comments towards Reince Priebus, but Donald Trump was upset that Reince Priebus didn't fight back?
I didn't hear that second part of it, but I think you can assume, you know, Anthony Scaramucci still has his job. He says he reports directly to the president. There wasn't a verbal public pushback from the president on what he said. He knows Scaramucci. That's his style. So you kind of get what you get when you bring somebody like that in.
This week, where do they pivot? What's the story? Healthcare's dead. Are they going for tax reform?
They're going to start talking about it. Certainly nothing that'll get done in the next couple of days or even have any incremental progress. But, you know, Congress has a lot of things to do before the end of September. And that, I think, is what's going to dominate the legislative conversation. The president, though, is not giving up on health care. I mean, a lot of tweets over the weekend pushing Senate Republicans and the leadership to keep trying for something, you know, trying to make the point of this is what you've promised for 7 years. Well, I think they get that. They know they've promised this for 7 years, but it's just been so difficult for them to come up with anything that can get 51 votes.
And he has signaled that he will sign that sanctions bill, and yet Putin over the weekend sort of gave a shot across the president's bow.
Yeah, he did. I mean, that the retaliation from the Russian side with this sanctions bill is demanding that the U.S. cut the size of its diplomatic force in Russia by more than half. But it's really unclear what this is going to mean for day-to-day operations. There's the report that Russia wants about 800 diplomats cut from the ranks, but it doesn't even seem like there are that many Americans working there. There's a significant number of Russians and locals. It seems, based on the numbers that we know right now, and the State Department won't say, but it seems that those cuts would impact those people more than the Americans.
Karen Travers, ABC News White House correspondent. Strap in. Another week in the White House.
Thanks, Karen. Always. Thank you.
All right, 6:50.